Welcome back. We have a really good one for you today. We are going to give you an ultimate checklist for SBA loans. Stay tuned. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe because we're going to tell you how you can get 1.5% rate saving on an SBA loan. You're listening to Financial Sense, Arizona's financial podcast that gives you insights that you can only get from a friend in the business. Recorded and brought to you by National Bank of Arizona, the bank of the community. Hello, I'm Brent Cannon. I'm the Director of the Community Bank and President here at National Bank of Arizona. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we have Kelly Stutzman joining us from our Camelback branch. She is a business banking specialist. Kelly, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great to have you. Kelly, are you a professional podcaster or influencer?
I'm not.
Either am I. We're just two bankers, and we're here to give people insights that they can only get from having friends in the business. Does that sound like a good plan?
Sounds like a good plan.
Let's get right into it. Talk us through what the process is to obtain an SBA loan.
So the process is going to start with checking your eligibility. Once you've done that, you're going to want to find a SBA preferred lender and go talk to a banker. And then the banker is going to help you do things like submit an application, collect and submit documentation. Typically, you would wait for the bank's approval and then the SBA's approval. Unless you're working with an SBA preferred lender like we are, then once you get the bank's approval, then you automatically get SBA approval.
Yeah, that makes it a lot more efficient when you're dealing with a bank who's a preferred SBA lender because the approval, it's a one-stop shop for an approval. And that's important.
Yeah, saves time.
That saves time. And in the SBA process, one of the things that typically most people think about is that it takes a long time to get an SBA loan done. Not always true, but certainly there's more paperwork, and the more organized you can be and working with a bank who's a preferred lender just expedites the process.
And then after approval, you'll work on securing financing. And if collateral is involved, you'll work on securing the collateral, and then you'll get to closing.
Perfect. So when a small business is putting together the application, when they're getting ready, what should they have ready to go when they come and begin the application process?
So depending on the amount and what it's being used for, you'll want to start with the application, and then you'll have some standard SBA forms to fill out, and then you'll definitely want a business plan.
So Kelly, speaking about business plans, I get a lot of questions from a lot of especially startup businesses. How do I write a business plan? What are some good resources for a new business or even an existing business that wants to write a business plan?
Having a business plan is critical to new and growing businesses. Resources you can use are the SBA.gov website. They have resources to help you write this kind of thing. And then another thing that you could do is go and talk to your local banker who will be able to point you in the right direction where there's community resources that are going to be able to help you write that.
I think that's really good advice, especially for businesses that are just starting and really, are a little bit in the wilderness. They don't know what step to take. I was just talking to a family member that's actually thinking about starting a business, and I was having this conversation with her, and we were kind of going through this exact process, and she said, how do I write a business plan? So we kind of began going through this process, and she works with a banker where she lives. So she actually went and talked to that bank and got some help. So it's a real life solution, and that's really the best place to start. But I also know that we have a small SBA loan program for $150,000 and under that requires far less paperwork. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it doesn't require any financials. Typically for businesses that have been operating for less than 2 years is, with perfect loan for that type of business.
Right. So let's talk about the checklist. What does a small business need to have ready when they go to begin the application process for an SBA loan?
Well, they're going to want to start with an application. They're going to have some standard SBA forms. They're going to want to have a business plan where great resources like the SBA.gov website is going to be a good resource that's going to help you write a business plan, show you some templates there.
Sure.
And then also just talking to your local banker, they'll be able to point you in the right direction of some community resources that will be able to help you write that. For more involved applications, you're going to be looking at, you're going to be asked for projections and financials on both the personal and business side.
Gotcha. So that's really where the financials, the projections, and then of course become intertwined with the business plan in terms of what the plan is for the business, and takes care of those questions. So Kelly, we've talked about some of the things from a checklist standpoint that a small business needs to have. to submit their application. Now let's talk about some of the things that they'll be asked for more than likely after the application has been submitted and going through the process.
Well, so some things that you might be asked for after you submit an application: clarification on the business,
Okay.
what your business plan is, some more clarification on what your objectives are. Some other things you might be asked for is how much experience you have in your particular industry. That's I see that a lot. And then some other things that I can think of is that if there's collateral involved, then oftentimes you'll find that they'll ask more information about the collateral.
Got it.
And one thing that we like to say is that SBA loans are like snowflakes. Each one's a little bit different.
All this talk about SBA loans, I think would really miss a great opportunity for the listeners to know and to hear that we're offering a terrific SBA promotion for 2025, for only 2025, but it's a great promotion. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what we're offering this year?
Yeah, it's really exciting. This year for 2025, we've got a 1.5% rate discount on loans up to $5 million.
So these are for SBA loans in fiscal 2025, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I think this promotion is so great because it really underscores our commitment to small business administration loans at Zions Bank Corporation and all the affiliated banks. National Bank of Arizona is in Arizona. We have banks in Colorado, Texas, California, Utah, Idaho, Nevada. And we're all really focused on serving this part of the business community by really becoming one of the best and premier SBA lenders in the country. So this is a really big focus for all of us because we know how important it is to our communities that we all serve.
Yeah, absolutely, Brent. I couldn't agree more.
And by the way, there's a link in the description that'll provide much more information. So that's great. A question that everybody has, and I think it's a fair question, is how long does it take to process an SBA loan application? So when we start the application to when the loan gets funded, how long in general?
So a general timeline could be as little as 1 week if you're dealing with SBA 7A small loans.
Okay.
Or it could go up to 2 to 3 months if you're dealing with large real estate.
Starts to get a little more, you have an appraisal, environmental, different things like that are going to take longer.
Right.
And that's true for a conventional commercial loan as well. So, but that generally sets the expectation for a borrower. I really like that as little as 1 week for a small SBA 7A loan. That's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about the amount borrowed and collateral? Does that impact the time?
The amount borrowed in the collateral will impact the length of time from the start of the application to the finish of the application. Sometimes more financials may need to be reviewed. Collateral may need to be verified. So there's a number of things that can impact how long it might take depending on the amount in the collateral.
We've talked a lot about what small businesses need to have prior to the application so they're ready to submit. And then after the application is submitted, some of the questions and issues that'll probably arise. How does that impact the length of time of the loan application?
So being prepared is key there. The length of time is going to have a lot to do with how well prepared you are. And when you are working with an experienced banker, they're going to make sure that you are prepared from the start and that they're in constant communication with you from the beginning of the application to the end of the application, and that you know what's expected of you
Right.
if additional documents are going to be asked.
And then we talked about the importance of working with a bank that's a preferred SBA lender. That'll also help expedite the process.
Yes, because the bank is familiar with the SBA lending process.
Right. Kelly, thanks so much for joining us today. SBA loans, as you know, are so important to us, and they're so important to small businesses to be able to access capital, to be able to grow, fund dreams, which is really, at the end of the day, kind of the description of our jobs, right? We're here to provide capital in a safe and secure manner. SBA loans allow us to do that because we're able to get a guarantee from the government, and that helps us take a little more risk, which is what you need in an early stage business. So, Kelly, thanks so much for all of your information today. Really enjoyed the visit.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I think we nailed it. Yeah. Dog.
Dog. That's Riz.
That's Riz. That's Riz, dog. Make sure and watch the rest of the episodes as well as today's on your favorite podcasting platform, YouTube. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.